Anytime I post anything online, someone has to comment and be like, shouldn't you be in bed already? I have a mom. Don't even talk to her, so don't need your input on my bedtime. I got a wife, also not gay. Also, if I was gay, you're a little too tubby for me. Michael Jackson's a pervert, huh? Hey, what's up? Welcome to the first ever Jubal Show podcast. I'm your host, Jubal Fresh, which makes sense because it's called the Jubal Show. It would be weird if there was some dude named Chad hosting the Jubal Show. Although there's a lot of podcasts out there, a lot of podcasts. Pretty much everybody has a podcast. Oh, hi, including me now, the Jubal Show. So there's a lot of podcasts out there. There might be some dude named Chad with a podcast called The Jubal Show. And if there is, I want to let you know that's not the right Jubal Show. This is the official one with the host whose name is Jubal Fresh, who you might know from my radio show, Brooke and Jubal in the Morning, or from doing stand-up. And if you found this and you had no idea who I am, how? And also, thank you. How'd you find it? Why were you interested? Because I know why the other people would be interested. And thank you for checking it out. Stick around. Hopefully it's interesting. I started this podcast because I wanted another place where I could just talk about things that were on my mind, things that are going on in the news that I don't necessarily get to talk about on the radio show or in my stand-up. And I'll also be doing interviews and things like that. Also, make sure to check out my other podcast that I do with my hot-ass wife, Alex Fresh. That's called Fresh Till Death. That one drops on Mondays. This one drops on Wednesdays. It's really hard to find because first you have to figure out what a Wednesday is. I think it's between Tuesday and Wednesday, or maybe Tuesday and Thursday. But whatever day Wednesday is, that's when this will drop. In other words, it drops on Wednesdays. Check them out. Do me a favesy too. Subscribe, and then give it a little star rating and write a positive review. Don't be a dick. Write a positive one. Unless you don't like it, then be a dick. Well, what is the first ever Jubal Show podcast going to be about? Thanks for asking. You didn't really ask right then, but you asked when you clicked on it. Kind of. So now I'm going to answer you, even though I already answered you right at the beginning when I said, Michael Jackson's kind of a pervert, huh? Yeah. Yes, he is. Of course, the documentary Leaving Neverland came out, and everybody's been talking about it. It should be called Finding Neverland if you really think about it, because everybody's wanted to know what that creepy place was like, and we got to see some images from there that I don't think people have ever seen before, including a door that had 17,000 locks on it. 17,000 locks on one door. And they kept showing it to you because they wanted you to notice that. So I'm sure you noticed the door too if you saw Leaving Neverland. Oh, and by the way, it's not on Netflix. I heard everybody talking about it. So I was like, I got to check this out. So I went to Netflix and I searched Leaving Neverland, nothing. And then I found out it's an HBO documentary. Holy shit, pay attention when people tell you things, Jubal. Pay attention. It's HBO, not Netflix. And that was honestly the most shocking thing about that whole documentary was that, oh, not Netflix, it's HBO. Blew my mind. I saw everybody talking about it, and I was like, man, maybe that's what they're talking about. Because the world should have already known that Michael Jackson, pervert. And if you're listening to this or watching this on the YouTube and you feel yourself disagreeing with me, stop it. Stop it because you know it's true. The most shocking thing about Leaving Neverland was the fact that it wasn't on Netflix. How'd you miss that opportunity, Netflix? Messed that one up. Anyway, good job, HBO. And I've watched all the things that people are saying online about Wade Robson and the other dude. Sorry, forgot your name. Not prepped enough. Didn't prep enough with both guys' names. So I apologize that I forget the other dude's name in the documentary. But Wade Robson and other guy, sorry. People are talking about how they don't believe their story. All over the place. Which is typical when anybody comes out and says they were abused by a celebrity. Typical. Not even celebrity. It happens in everyday life too, but we only hear about it because the world is obsessed with celebrities. So there's a lot of people saying, oh, they're lying. Because they lied under oath before, they're lying and they're not being truthful and they're only doing it now for money. Hey, let's think about what taking an oath is. Taking an oath is promising to God, who you might not believe in, inside of a judicial building, that you're not going to lie on the stand. Yeah, you can get in trouble for it, but a lot of people perjure themselves. But then there's all the people that come out and go, well, why wait so long until after? Hey, bro. And I'm saying bro because it's usually bros who have that opinion. If you were at the gym, you're at your CrossFit gym, right? Working out, doing your burpees and your squat thrusts, and then you go to the gym shower, and someone who's better at CrossFit than you, he's done way more burpees, he's done thousands more squat thrusts, all in under the time you could do it. So he's a better CrossFitter, stronger, and he has his way with you. You're going to walk right out of the shower and exclaim to all your other CrossFit buddies that you just got squat thrusted in the shower? No, you're not. I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to be ashamed. You're going to blame yourself, bro, for not being stronger than him, for allowing it to happen to you, instead of being honest and being like, man, he's way bigger than I am, way stronger than I am. Holy shit, did you see how many squat thrusts he can do? And he took advantage of me. And you would hold on to that and you would keep it a secret until you were ready and until you did the work to realize that, you know what? It's not my fault. And that's what happens with sexual abuse. Really any kind of abuse. Especially with sexual abuse of young boys. How do I know that? Hi, am one. I am one. So I'm speaking from experience, bro. If you're one of those people that are tweeting, yeah, I don't believe them because they lied before, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Maybe now they feel powerful enough to say something. Maybe it's not about money. Because let me tell you this. If it is about money, you don't go public right away, dummies. You don't go public right away if you're trying to shake somebody down for money. And also, there's a lot easier ways to do it than lying about being raped. A lot easier. But if that's your thing, hi, you're a piece of shit. Hi, you're a piece of shit. But if that's your thing, if you are lying because you want to get money from somebody, you have a meeting with them or with someone who can get to them saying, I'm going to do this unless you pay me. And then they'll usually pay you and then you go away. You don't just come out saying it happened right away because it screws up your leverage. It messes up your leverage to get paid. The point of shaking somebody down for money is to do it so that you stay quiet. Not be loud about it and then hope to get the money, because at that point you've screwed yourself by getting screwed. The problem is, though, that nobody can just really be honest. And why can't they be honest? Oh, because it's a celebrity. It's Michael Jackson. He can dance. Did you see him do the moonwalk? Did you see him? His feet were moving backwards, but didn't look like he was stepping, just sort of moved backwards, like he just slid backwards. He did the moonwalk. He couldn't possibly touch a little kid because he created a dance craze. Yeah, you know how you learned to do the moonwalk? Probably by sneaking out of little kids' rooms. It's very quiet, the moonwalk. But the fact that he could dance and had talent doesn't make him not a person. And it doesn't make him not broken. If you take the celebrity off of Michael Jackson, he's a weird dude. Dead now, was a weird dude. If you saw that guy in the grocery store, just walking down the aisle, dressed like a nutcracker, speaking the way that he spoke, looking the way that he looked, you would be like, holy shit, who let that guy in here? How does he even have money to pay for food? I hope he's on his meds, because I don't want him to grab a kitchen knife and stab people in here. But because he made music that people danced to, they gave him a pass. And they still give him a pass today because there are a lot of people saying there's no way he could have done that. He was just a kid at heart. He was just a little kid at heart. He didn't have a childhood. So he wanted to act out his childhood in his adulthood. Hi, I didn't have a childhood either. My childhood was taken from me. I lived a very sad childhood. But you know the last thing I want to do? Have a sleepover in a teepee with a 7-year-old. That's like, if I were to prioritize my life, don't even think that would be on the list. Michael Jackson was not only a great singer and great dancer, but he was also one of the greatest manipulators the world has ever seen. Dude's got talent. I'm not taking that away from him. He's probably a better manipulator than he was a dancer or a singer because he made the world. He made the world think that it was okay for him to have young boyfriends. Even as a kid, when I would see Michael Jackson walking around with all these different kids, I was creeped out automatically. I liked Michael's music. I thought it was fine. That was okay. You know, PYT, dope song. Also, now that you tell the truth about Michael Jackson, creepy song. And I've always thought that. Dope beat, like the way he sings in it, creepy as shit. But even as a kid, I would see him walking around with these other kids and I would be like, dude, that's not right. I had more cards in the game though, because I had stuff happen to me when I was a child that were sexual in nature. And so I automatically was like, that's weird. People who didn't have to deal with that, congratulations. It's nice not having to deal with the baggage that comes with abuse. It's nice. But it also sets it up so you find it hard to believe, hard to fathom that somebody could do that kind of thing. Even when it happens to you and you finally start being honest about it, it's hard to believe. You have a memory and you're like, whoa, that's messed up. Did that really happen? That couldn't have really happened to me. No, that couldn't have happened. Then you do more work. You think about more things. You have more memories and you start to become stronger. And then you say, you know what? I'm going to be honest. Yeah, that happened and it hurt. And it hurts every day. And that's why people come out later in their life and say things. There's a lot of different things at play. Because there's dissociating from a memory and forgetting all about it and blacking it out and blocking it out and not remembering. And then there's being scared to say something because especially somebody like Michael Jackson, dead now, good. Somebody like Michael Jackson, especially at that time, What are you going to say? You going to come out and say that? The guy could pretty much have you killed with as much money as he had and get away with it. He could go out to a concert at that time when he was his biggest. He could shoot you and then moonwalk over your body, and I guarantee you he would have gotten a pass. Because that's the way we do it in this country. Celebrities aren't real people. Guess what? Celebrities, very real. Why can't we be honest and come together and call things that are not normal, not normal? It's not normal for a 30-year-old man, no matter what your background, no matter what your skill level, no matter what your childhood was like, it is not normal for a 30-something-year-old man to want to hang out and be friends with random kids. It's normal for a 30-something-year-old man with a 7-year-old son to go, hey, let's go to the park. But also, I'm taking you to the park so we can bond a little bit so you can have fun out there. But really, there's about 50 other things I'd rather be doing right now, but I'm a good father. So let's go bond for a bit. That was fun. That felt good for me. That felt good for you, I hope. Great. That was a good father-son outing. But it's not normal for a 30-something-year-old to be like, hey, your kid looks really cool. Can I take him for a week? The parents that allowed their kids to be one of Michael's boyfriends. I'm just saying it like that because that's what it was. Should be ashamed of themselves and should never forgive themselves. And I know you watch the documentary and it just like, you know, they do the background and how much, by the way, the background stories in these documentaries are ridiculous. It's like, hey, hello, get to the good stuff. I feel terrible saying that, but you know what I mean. It's like so much backstory. I'm like, I used to hold him when he was a baby and then blah, 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 blah. Here's how we met Michael. Just get to the point. Doesn't need to be 4 hours long. Just tell us what we're all wanting to hear, no matter how messed up it is. Just tell us. But the parents, it's mind-blowing to me. I'm a stepdad now. It is mind-blowing to me that there could be any parent out there who would be okay with their kid spending a week with a random dude that they just met. But people do it because they refuse to believe that celebrities are real people. You see it all. Celebrities are real people. I'll tell you how you can tell. Go to the grocery store and pick up one of those magazines like an Us Weekly. There's a whole thing called Celebrities. They're just like us. They get coffee too. They play racquetball with friends. They wear sweatpants to the store. Sometimes they touch kids. Sometimes they do really horrible things. So just take the celebrity off of it, man. If Michael Jackson was working at a 76 gas station and you were in there with your kid and you're like, yeah, I'll take a pack of gum and a Red Bull. And he was like, okay, I'll scan that for you. And hey, by the way, your son's really cute. I'd like to teach him how to, I'm the best Red Bull and gum scanner at the 76 station. And I would like to, take him back with me and teach him how to scan gum and Red Bull so that he can grow up to be a 76 gas station attendant like me. I'm one of the best. Can I borrow him for a week? You would call the cops right away. And by the way, the guy at the 76 looks a lot less creepy than Michael did. Be honest and call it what it is. Celebrities shouldn't get a pass because they're celebrities. They are normal people, and let's stop treating them like they're gods. George Clooney can get cancer just like us. I take that back, actually. George Clooney, if he got cancer, his tumor would probably be the sexiest tumor ever. It would probably be a sexy tumor that would beat people out for lead roles in movies, and a lot of younger actors would be very angry and would be hating on George Clooney's tumor. But you know what? George Clooney's tumor, method actor. George Clooney's tumor, tan. George Clooney's tumor has crow's feet, but it makes him seem dignified. George Clooney's tumor would be a beautiful tumor. It'd still be a tumor, though. Just because celebrities are better looking, rich, have talents that we wish we could have, doesn't mean that they don't do things that normal, messed up people do. It doesn't mean that they're not broken. And shame on you. Shame on you if you're one of those people that gives Michael a pass because you can't imagine somebody doing that. You shouldn't be. I'm glad you can't imagine it. I'm glad you can't. You don't want to be able to imagine that. You don't want to be able to put that in your head and be like, yeah, I could totally see how that could happen. Because that probably means hasn't happened to you. Congratulations. But it doesn't mean you can't be honest. And go, man, this is really hard for me to come to grips with, that somebody could do something like that. It's hard for me to understand because I would never do it. And I don't think I know anybody that's happened to. It never happened to me. Wow. It screws with your head, man. But let it. Don't go, I don't know though. You know? He didn't have a childhood, so he's just trying to live out his childhood again. It is not normal for a 30-something-year-old dude to build a amusement park so the kids can come play at his house. If your next door neighbor who didn't have any kids and was like 50 years old and was just kind of a shut-in, all of a sudden put some monkey bars and a slide in his front yard and was like, your kid can come over and play whenever he wants, punch him in the face. That's what you would do. But instead you make excuses for Michael. So shame on you if you can't be honest and just look at the consistencies. In life, there is truth in consistency. What has Michael repeatedly, dead now by the way, good. What has Michael, by the way, repeatedly been accused of? Sexual misconduct with children. Over and over and over and over and over again. Some of them may be lying. Some of them may be wanting money, sure. One of them, I'm sure a lot more than one, but I'm arguing with you right now, person who wants to think Michael wouldn't do this. I'm arguing with you. And the good thing is, you can't argue back because can't hear you right now. Because it probably pissed me off a lot. But I'm talking to you. Look at the consistency. Over and over. Even if one person wasn't lying, that's too much. And I guarantee you, with all those people, somebody was telling the truth. I would actually say 90% of them are telling the truth. 90% of them, though, didn't have $150 million in the bank and couldn't afford the best lawyers to attack their character so that you go, fuck that. She got fired for stealing silverware. She didn't see Michael touch a kid. She's making it up because she got fired for stealing silverware. No. You're not going straight to that if you want to get money. There's other things you could do. And also, you do it quietly so that you could get paid. How about this? How about we stop blaming victims and saying that they're lying, and then we look at the numbers. Just look at sheer numbers. Okay? Because it is incredibly hard to say that somebody sexually abused you. Why would anybody want that? Why would anybody want to admit that that happened to them? There are some people who probably do it for fame and money, and you know what? That's not the majority, and those people are horrible people. But for you and me, normal people, Why would you ever want to admit that? Hardest thing I ever had to do was tell my wife that I was sexually abused as a kid. Hardest thing I have ever had to do. And I've had a lot of hard things in my life. But that was the hardest thing, because when you say it, you're like, man, what are they gonna think of me now? I think I'm weird. I'm damaged. I'm like them. I'm like the people that did it to me. It's scary. It is scary, because you don't know how people are gonna look at you until you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I know who I am. I'm a good person. I am not that. I didn't let that happen to me. It happened to me. And if people want to judge me for that, go for it, because that's on them. It takes a long time to get there. A long time to get there. And that's why people come out later. But if you look at the numbers of people who say that they saw him doing things and people who say that he did stuff to them, remember, it's not just this documentary. That was on HBO, by the way, not Netflix. Weird. It's not just this documentary. Like, throughout his whole life, people were saying it. His whole life. And how many people say that he didn't? Some people that are close to him. Some people that get paid by him already. His estate, of course. His family. Yeah, hard to admit that your brother is a pervert. Hard to admit that. LaToya did for a second and then took it back. Why'd she take it back? Who knows? Maybe money, maybe pressure from the family. People stick with their families a lot of times. But most people, if you look at the numbers that really were around at that time, say that they saw stuff. They say they saw stuff with Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin, by the way, says nothing ever happened. I don't believe that for a second. That's what this is all about for me, is let's stop saying people are lying about abuse happening to them. And let's turn that on the people that are still protecting them. That's what I think we should do. The people that protect abusers. Why can't we say they're lying? Like, as a kid that was abused, it pains me to say this because I don't want to take a shot at anybody who probably went through some stuff that I can sympathize with or empathize with. Which one is it, by the way? Sympathize, empathize. Anyway, I'll look it up after the podcast, and then I'll learn something. But it hurts me to take a shot, but I want to say Macaulay Culkin is lying. He's not telling the truth. It's not those two dudes, Wade Robson and other guys, sorry I forgot your name, that are lying in the documentary. And it's not all the other people that have accused Michael Jackson of doing things. They're not the ones that are lying. The people that are protecting him are lying because they know something. And I know that Macaulay Culkin will never download this podcast. I don't know if he's a fan of podcasts. If he is, and if you are watching, Macaulay, do me a favor, rate, review, give me 5 stars. Probably not now that I'm kind of saying you're lying, but, give it some stars, write up a little thing. That'd be great. Subscribe even. So I don't know if he's a fan of podcasts or if he's watching the video on YouTube, whatever. But I would love to talk to him. And I would love to say to him that it's okay now for you to be honest and for you to say what happened. A lot of people who worked in that house when Macaulay was a regular guest say that they saw him touch him. Macaulay says nothing ever happened. Now, I'll give it to you, could be true, because abusers don't abuse every kid. They leave some unabused so that they can say later on, nah, nothing happened. But I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a second. And what I would say to Macaulay Culkin was, loved you in Home Alone. Loved you in Home Alone. Also, stop protecting him. Because there is one person powerful enough to put all the questions to rest. One person. And that is Macaulay Culkin. And that's what I would say to him, because I guarantee, I'm having trouble saying I guarantee, personally, my opinion, based on just the things that I've seen in the news about Macaulay. I don't know him personally, obviously, because I already know he's probably not going to listen to the podcast. But as somebody who's been abused before, I feel like I can see it. And I definitely can identify with why you would still protect him. And I also know that there's one person powerful enough to put all the questions to rest, and that's Macaulay Culkin. If you're listening to this, rate review Macaulay. Macaulay Culkin is the one person who has the power now to really let everybody know who that man was. Because we all deep down know. So, he will never see this. I will never talk to him. But as one kid who was abused to another, I want to say that I can see it, man. And I want to let you know he cannot hurt you anymore. And not only that, but you are powerful enough to stop him and to not let his legacy live on to the people who are ignorant and unwilling to accept that a dude that could dance well could have touched kids. You're the one person that if you said right now, yeah, it happened. Sorry. Sorry I lied for a while, but it's hard to deal with. Everybody would be like, damn, Michael's a pervert. That's all it would take, would just be you saying it, Macaulay Culkin. Maybe you sign some sort of thing that says, that you'll get sued for all kinds of money or whatever. But I guarantee if you did it, we'd start a GoFundMe. And the country would come together and give you enough money where you'd be fine. Although I think you're fine with money. And I'm sure the thought of having to take a break from normal life for a while, to admit that, seems daunting. And it seems like, why at this point? At this point, I've lived so long not admitting it. Why would I admit it and mess up everything? Because I've heard him in interviews, and he lives in France and back and forth, and seems to have a pretty nice life. So yeah, of course, I can understand how you'd be like, nah, nothing happened. Nah, nothing happened. I just like to get back to France or wherever I'm going and chill out because I don't want to deal with it. But I'll tell you what, you'd be doing a huge favor for everybody out there who has ever been abused sexually, whether as a kid or an adult, whatever. You'd be doing a huge favor if you took a break, faced that head on, said, all right, my life is going to be kind of turned upside down for a minute, but I'm going to be powerful. I'm going to take the power back. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say, yes, Michael Jackson, swell dancer, swell singer, excellent manipulator, touch me. So, you're probably never going to see it, but like I said, if you do, get at me, or just be honest. And everybody else that's listening to this podcast or watching it on the YouTubes, rate, review. Thank you. And also just start being honest. Because that's the only way that any of this is ever going to even be slowed down, is by just being honest about it. So that was the first ever Jubal Show podcast. Wow. Heavy one. Very heavy one today. You might be wondering what you're going to get from the Jubal Show podcast. All kinds of stuff. It's not always going to be, really sensitive subjects like that. Sometimes it's just going to be fun. Sometimes I'll have an interview. Sometimes I'll have other people on with me. A lot of times my hot ass wife, Alex Fresh, is in the room with me chiming in, but couldn't be here because she had to go pick up the kids from school. So I'm just in this room ranting. But it's not always going to be this heavy. And I appreciate you checking it out. I also want you to remember to check out the podcast that I do with my hot ass wife, Alex Fresh, called Fresh Till Death. That drops on Mondays. And this one drops on Wednesday, whenever that is. But yeah, it's not all going to be like this, but it's just what people are talking about. And I don't get to spend a lot of time touching on that kind of stuff on stage because guess what? People are very sensitive now. People get very offended by everything. And I could do a bit on that on stage. Sure, it would work on stage. On radio, it would work too. But not necessarily for people driving their kids to school. So this is where I get to talk about the things that are on my mind, that I would like to talk about, but I know the venue. And this is my venue where I get to talk about whatever I want. So welcome to it. Rate, review. Rate, review. Rate, review. Man, all right. Before I finish the podcast, I do want to say, I want to end it lightly. And I'll say this. So I want to do I'm going to start doing some interviews, right? Interviewing some comic friends of mine, interviewing whoever. If you have anybody that you want me to talk to, hit me up, wherever, put a comment, message, inquiries at jubalthing.com. Email me, and we'll get on that. But I found some people that I really want to interview today, and I don't think I'll ever be able to find them. But holy shit, I want to interview them so bad. So I saw this video today on Instagram, and I have so many questions for these people. So the video is, I think it's from some dude's Snapchat or something, but there's a couple standing outside of a business, right? Dude, and then the chick's kind of standing in front of him, and he's got his hand down her pants. Okay? And I don't think they knew any. Well, I know they didn't know anybody was watching, especially filming. The video is hilarious. I wish I could show it to you, but if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can't see the video. And it's not my video, so I don't think I can post it on YouTube without them being like, hey, use somebody else's content. So I'll just explain it. The dude standing there is like a skinny guy. She's got a bigger girl in front of him. He's got his hand down her pants, fumbling with her butt. You don't exactly know what he's doing, but he's definitely, his hand's moving around in the butt area. And that's already like, oh my God, what are they going to do? What is going to happen here? And then he takes his hand out from her butt. And then she kind of moves away off to the side, and he puts his hand up in front of her nose. She takes a sniff, kind of cocks her head back like, whoa, that was ripe. And then he puts his hand back in his pocket, and they just stand there. I have so many questions for that couple. So many. I would love to find those people to interview them and to be like, okay, so you wanted to smell your own butt, right? Yes, ma'am. You want to smell your own butt? Yes, I did. I wanted to take a big whiff of what my butt smelled like that day because I hadn't showered in a little bit. It was sweaty outside. It was quite warm. And I was feeling a little bit of swamp butt going on, and I just thought maybe I should take a whiff and just see how swampy it is. Because one thing Grandma always told me was, don't leave the house with your butt super swampy, because you're not going to get the car loan. That's what she would always say. She'd always say, and car loan I think was a metaphor for something else, just in life, But she said, don't go into a car dealership trying to get a car loan with a sweaty bunger, because you're not going to get a good interest rate. And that's how I live my life. That's why I want to smell my butthole. I don't know if that'd be her answer, but I hope so. Anyway, so my question would be, you wanted to smell your own butt. Yes, for the car loan. Okay, got it. But you had him sample it for you and then put it up to your nose so you could take a... Why not do it yourself? Well, that's my lady. I don't want her to ever have to do anything for herself, any hard work. I just figured I'd go ahead and put my hand down there and, rub it around a bit, get a little funk on my fingers, and put it up to her nose so she could see just how swampy her butt is. That's right, for the car loan. Got it. With the car loan. Stop it. I have so many questions, though. Because at first I was like, okay, maybe he's doing something else. I was like, no, he's definitely touching the butt. I was like, all right, maybe he's going to bring it out and he's going to smell it himself. Maybe maybe he wants to smell her butt. I don't know why you would want to, but maybe that's their thing. I'm not judging, I'm judging. But he didn't smell it himself. He took it and then gave it to her to smell. She smelled it and was like, oh, damn, need a shower. And then they just went back to normal. The people are disgusting. The fact that happens and then people like watching the pimple popping videos all the time. People are gross. I see things like that and I'm like, it's no wonder that I don't like to shake hands with people. Because how do I know that right before we met, you weren't sampling your wife's butt and letting her sniff it? And now you're shaking my hand. Now I've got your wife's butt on my hand. And then I'm going to grab a cheeseburger. Now I'm eating cheeseburger and your wife's butt. No, thank you. No, thank you. So anyway, that was hilarious. If you haven't seen the video online, hopefully it shows up in your time feed, newsfeed, whatever. Hopefully it shows up though so you can see it, because you'll watch it over and over and over again trying to break it down. Like, is this a sexual thing? Is this just like a maintenance thing? Like, why did you wipe your wife's, I don't know if it's a wife, I don't know if they're married. Why'd you wipe the girl that's with you butt stench on your hand and let her smell it? And why did she want you to do that? Why did she participate in that? And why did you participate in that? It's just blowing my mind right now. Well, thank you for checking out the Jubal Show podcast, episode number 1. Like I said, Macaulay Culkin, rate, review, please. Also, you, if you're not him, rate, review. I would appreciate it. Check out the Fresh Till Death podcast. Learn to speak. Check out the Fresh Till Death podcast on Mondays. And also check out my Patreon, which I do a daily podcast. It's called The Daily Fresh Shit. Fresh Shit, because my last name's Fresh. So it's Fresh Shit every day on the Patreon. And I will also wrap this up by telling you that on the Patreon right now, if you head over there and sign up, you will hear the story of how I got AIDS from eating a mango. That is what they call a teaser. So if you want to hear that story, head up. By the way, I don't have AIDS. Okay, I don't. But it was a good teaser. So I don't have it, but I just said it so you can hear the story, because the story is kind of funny. And that's on my Patreon. So go to patreon.com/JubalFresh for that. And other than that, we'll see you next Wednesday, whenever that is. I think it's near Wednesday. We'll see you next Wednesday with another Jubal Show. Later.